Hey guys, and welcome to another guide for Season 6 League of Legends Champion, and in today's guide I'll be going over Morgana. Now, I've overlooked Morgana. I mean, she's not one of my main champions that I play, and I would rather play other supports over her. However, she should never be underestimated. She is a fantastic counter to a lot of engaging champions. Her black shield is phenomenal. If you're against someone like a Nautilus, a Blitzcrank, a Thresh, anybody with engage, your black shield counters that totally. She's great for getting picks. She's great for spiraling the game into your favour. A few of my games that I'll include in this video will show that we have been losing for a period of time, but the plays happen because Morgana can carry the game and can make an effective impact if played correctly. And hopefully in this guide I show you how you can get the full extent of her kit and the full extent of winning the game with Morgana by using the techniques that I'm going to include in this video. So let's get started. So we'll start with her skill, so I'll bring that up just now. Soul Siphon is her passive. Morgana has Spell Vamp, healing herself whenever she deals damage with her spells, so that is totally straightforward. You do damage with your spell, it's going to heal you for a little bit. It's kind of good. I mean, it gives her a little bit of sustain. You don't have a lot of sustain in lane. It's more of a kill pressure lane with Morgana. You want to try and kill the opposing duo, because you want to get yourself ahead as well as your ADC ahead. That's important to know as well. It doesn't matter if you fall behind, because things can still happen with Morgana, but it's important to actually go into an aggressive lane. Our Q is Dark Binding. Morgana releases a sphere of dark magic. Upon contact with an enemy unit, the sphere will deal magic damage and force the unit to the ground for a period of time. This is the main thing about Morgana. Our Q is phenomenal for catching people. It's got a range on it that not everybody is sure of. You might cast it and you might think it's not going to hit them, and then at the last tick of the animation, boom, it hits them. They're locked down, they can't move. It's great. It goes hand in hand with the rest of our kit, and it goes hand in hand with a lot of other champions' abilities, such as a Nidalee, stuff like that. I mean, if you lock them in place, you can do a lot of damage with a team comp that involves a Nidalee as such. Her W is Tormented Soil. Infects an area with disgrated soil, causing enemy units who stand on the location to take continual damage. Now, this isn't really a big deal on Morgana support. However, if you were playing her in the mid lane, that would probably be something that you would max. But we don't really max that. That's the last skill that you'd max on Morgana. It's good for ticking your spell thieves and getting the gold. Also proccing your Thunderlord's Decree, do that extra little bit of damage. That's pretty much all I can say about her Tormented Soil. Her E is her black shield. Now, I went over this. Places a protective barrier around an allied champion, absorbing magical damage and disables until penetrated or the shield dissipates. This basically means that hooks, anything of the such, engage. You're not going to get stunned, you're not going to get locked down. It means that you can freely move around a team fight, or if you give it to your ADC, which you should, if they have a lot of abilities to engage, you put on your ADC and make sure that they can't get targeted and locked down. It's game changing. Obviously, if they can't lock down a target that's doing a lot of damage, you know, they're just going to kite and do a lot of damage as well. So black shield is something that you need to really work around when to cast it, when to upgrade it, stuff like that, in the type of lane that you're playing. So our R is Soul Shackles. Latches chains of energy onto nearby enemy champions, dealing initial damage to them and slowing their movement speed, and then echoing the pain a few seconds later and stunning them if they remain close to Morgana. So it's a damage ult, it's a movement speed decreasing ult, and it's also a stun if they're in the vicinity of the Soul Shackles. So this is a key ult, and sometimes get this right. I mean, I'm still working on it myself. A lot of champions will have disengaged, they'll be able to happen. So this, I'd probably start with my Q. You start with your Dark Binding and you go around in the river and you see if you can catch any initial gold advantage, and then I would probably take my E, I'd take Black Shield, and then I would take W, Tormented Soil. So the way that you max it is Q, E, W. That's probably what I'd go for. It depends what type of lane that you've got. If you want your shield off cooldown a lot more, you might need to change the runes, or you might need to just upgrade that before you do put points and your Dark Binding. Example of this, you could probably go up against someone like Nautilus, who has a lot of CC. His cooldowns aren't that much compared to like a Thresh or a Blitzcrank. Once they use their hook, it's not really a problem, so that's to be noted. Obviously you take your Soul Shackles every time you get an opportunity to put a point in it, and that's basically the way that you upgrade it. Now obviously it depends on your lane, like I said, if you take your E, if you take your Q, totally up to yourself. So that is our skills. That is what makes her a great champion. Trust me, she is a fantastic champion. Our runes are as follows. Now these are my preference. You can go with whatever you like, but these are mine. 9 Mark of Magic Pen reds, 4 seals of health and 5 seals of armor yellows, 9 scaling magic resist blues, 3 quintessences of ability power. Now the reason I go scaling magic resist, this will differentiate. I mean, if I'm going against all AD comp, then I'll take scaling magic resist, right? Because if you get people like a Corki or stuff like that, then they will end up doing a lot of magic damage, and as the game goes on they do even more, so it's important to have that scaling magic resist. But since I don't need the magic resist in the beginning of the game, I'll probably just leave it as scaling. If they have a high damage support, I'd probably still go scaling magic resist, because I can position Morgana not to get caught out and taking a lot of damage. Like I said, totally up to yourself. You can take what you want. You can take more health in there. I like to balance it out. I like to take the 4 health and 5 armor. It means that the basic attacks don't do as much damage to you, and you have that extra little bit of health to sustain in the lane. So that is our runes. And we'll pop on to the Masteries now. So I go 0, 18 and 12 on Morgana. In Cunning I go Bandit, 1 gold for each nearby minion killed by an ally and 3 when hitting an enemy. So this is your income. Procs well with your spell thieves, as you know. Intelligence, cooldown reduction cap increase to 45%, start with 5%. It's important to get your black shield off a little bit quicker, and also get your dark bindings off as well. That's pretty important. And then of course you go Thunder Lord's Decree. You do that extra damage on your 3rd attack. I'll not bore you with the stats, but that's imperative to take on her. Our Masteries can vary as well. You can go into the ferocity tree as well, but I don't really need to do that extra damage. I'm going to provide as much sustain for myself, but as much opportunities for my team to carry the game, as well as me participating. In Resolve I take Insight. It reduces the cooldown of your summoner spells by 15%. This is key because Flash Bind is important on Morgana. It's important to know when to flash. It's important to actually land it. There's been many times where you will fail. That's totally alright, you know, it's expected. But if you can flash onto a target and you can point blank bind them, they've got no chance in dodging it. This would be for targets like an Ezreal, you know, someone who can get away and then kite back, and you want to kill them really quickly. You go in like that and then you probably try and kill them. So that is our Masteries out of the way. That ties in a lot with our kit as well. I mean, I find these Masteries to be most effective. Other people would disagree and they'd say, oh, you know, I go Ferocity and then I go maybe Cunning. You know, it totally depends on your playstyle. And Masteries are always flexible. You can do what you like, and that's just my preference. So her build is as follows. Now I like to go really straightforward on her. Obviously you'd start off with your Spell Thieves, that's the #1. I usually build into the Frostqueen's Claim because I really like the Spooky Ghost active, rather than the Eye of the Watchers. I don't really need that extra item, because if I can get ahead I could probably end the game before I'm even close to full build. Obviously you pick up your Sightstone as well, and the Mobility Boots. Mobility Boots are key on Morgana. I would always take Mobility Boots over everything else. I mean, the other choice from Mobility Boots would be Swiftness, and I wouldn't take anything else other than that, so that is probably key to understand. If you want the extra cooldown, Lucidity as well, that's always an option. But speaking of options, this is the items that I would go on her. So it depends on your situation, right? But if you're against a really attack speed oriented team such as Kog'Maw, stuff like that, you want to pick up that Frozen Heart as soon as possible. It's not key to go damage on Morgana, although you can go damage, but I prefer to balance it out a little bit. Locket of Iron Solari, if they have a really busty AP laner, or someone like LeBlanc, Syndra, people like that, this is key to take, absolutely. Binary Command as well, you know, if you want to siege right up the middle, and you want to, you know, take it to the enemy team and siege the turrets. Another option for that would be if they have a lot of AP and they can't, they don't have good wave clear. Then you would probably take that, because then it's going to be hard for them to clear it. The wave is always going to push, and it's a pretty good item. Zz'Rot portal is fantastic. I love this item. I don't see it enough on enemy teams, so it's usually just me that picks it up, and you can gain side lane control by just leaving this in the side lane, and make sure that your inhibitor or stuff like that are protected if you've lost the turret. It's a fantastic item. It offers you armor and magic resist as well, so you can't go wrong with it. Randuins Omen as well, if they're all AD, pick this item up. They won't kill you. You'll be able to get off a lot of spells in a short amount of time. Zonya's Hourglass is a must for Morgana if you want to pull off the perfect ults. Flash into the enemy team comp, ult yourself, hit that Zhonya, and then you just watch them all be stunned. Your team will clear up. That's probably the standard that you would want. However, it doesn't always go like that, so it has to be a really good play. Although it's still a good item to pick up, it gives you the extra damage as well. So Zonya's Hourglass, for sure an item to pick up. Mikael's Crucible, if they have a lot of CC, that's an item to pick up. It gets you out of dodge, gets people out of trouble as well, along with your black shield. They should never be locked down. Morellonomicon is an item that you might take on Morgana if they have like a Sona or a Soraka, you know, someone like that. However, I probably wouldn't take it. 9 times out of 10, those items before it are probably better. For damage item, I would always go Zonya's Hourglass, because the active is better, and you've got the damage on top of that. You've got the Seeker's Arm Guard that stacks up every time you get a kill as well, so just giving you armor on top of that. And Rylai's Crystal Scepter, I mean, this is a good item, it's a chunky item. I probably, again, I wouldn't buy it on Morgana because I don't see a need to, although you might get certain disengage comps where you will need to pick that up in order to apply the slow, but usually your Dark Binding is enough to catch somebody off guard and secure the kill. So that is basically my Morgana guide, guys. She's a fantastic support, like I said. More people should play her. She is great in lane. Her early game is phenomenal. You get to proc that spell thief from a great distance because of your tormented soil, and once you lock down a target with your Q, they're not going to come after you for it's a good amount of stun anyway before they can come anywhere near you. A black shield makes everything a lot easier in lane, especially if you're against a hook lane, scared of getting hooked, and watch for the animation, and all you need to do is click E on yourself or an ally who's about to be taken into the depths of the enemy team. But however, it's up to you. Go try her out. She's fantastic. Like I said, I can't recommend her enough. I've loved playing Morgana, and that's my guide, guys. So thank you for watching, and I shall see you in the next one.